What's going on, my fellow A-Plusers? Welcome back once again to a brand new episode. It is I, your host, Adam Perez, and we're back to go ahead and give you our review for Dino Fury episode number 11, ladies and gentlemen. That's right, this is our Dino Fury week celebration as we wind up getting 3 new episodes that went ahead and dropped on Netflix this past Tuesday. Tuesday, we reviewed episode number 9. Wednesday, we reviewed episode number 10. And today, we're reviewing the final episode, or I should say, of the first half of the season in episode number 11 for you guys. But don't worry, we also do have ourselves a live episode of A Plus More Phenomenal set to go this Saturday at noon Central Time, which I'm sure will not only talk about these brand new episodes that we wind up getting, but other news that wind up dropping throughout the remainder of the week, guys. So I'm really eager to see what you guys have thought about these episodes as we get into it on Saturday. But today, we're going to be doing episode number 11 of Dino Fury, this time titled McScary Manor, as we wind up getting the return of Pop Pop, who we haven't seen since Superstition Strikes, and of course Hunter Deno herself playing Amelia in here gets to be pushed front and center, and if I got to be honest with you guys, she kills it yet again. Overall, I really enjoyed this episode. Episodes 10 and 11 have been great this season so far. The opportunity to have a little bit more of Amelia and Pop Pop together to kind of learn about their relationship, maybe see some of the struggles that they certainly might have, but get an opportunity to truly see what makes them special and why they truly love each other as much as they do. I thought it was a really great sentimental episode with some amazing action, some amazing firsts in here, if you will, with Amelia, as we wind up getting not only a new Zord debuted, but a brand new armor that we had never seen before also. So really great in regards to just some new excitement, some new things from Dino Fury in here, and just some great performances from the other Rangers in here, especially Javi. I definitely want to give Javi some shout outs here in this week's episode that was played by Chance Perez this week. But overall, really solid, really enjoyable, great usage of original footage in here, and great storyline to go ahead and continue to push Hunter Deno as Amelia, and I feel like giving her an even bigger role in this season with some of the revelations that we wind up getting in this episode. So guys, let's go ahead and talk about it. Let's go ahead and really break down this particular episode. I have been hearing some people saying, and again, I'm a huge fan of what Hunter Deno does. She continues to kill this role. I'm a sucker, honestly, for like the paranormal and anything supernatural. I'm quite superstitious myself from time to time. Maybe not on the realm of where Amelia is, but that is certainly a personality trait of Amelia that I can certainly get on board with. Like, I don't remember for how many years I watched Ghost Hunters, hoping that somebody would prove that ghosts are certainly real. I really love just sort of that, any type of horror movies, supernatural type of elements and things like that. So I really connect with Amelia certainly on that level. So it's always fun to kind of see her wanting to go ahead and prove ghosts are real, having her ghost snare, if I'm not mistaken. I believe that's what it was certainly called. But really just great to see Hunter Deno doing a great job as Amelia in here. I have seen some people already over on Twitter kind of championing her as like the best Pink Ranger ever. I'm not going to go necessarily so far to say that, but I will say she's probably one of the more impressive Pink Rangers that I've seen in a long time, alongside somebody like Shelby from Dino Charge. So I definitely will give Hunter Deno that props where she certainly deserves it. Has been doing an amazing job, and again, I feel like any episode that we've seen her highlight in it, she does remarkable work, honestly. So I'm really glad that they are hopefully going to be giving her an even bigger role to play throughout this particular season. But impressive and incredible to certainly say the least. But for me, it was really fun in this episode to kind of see the angry side to Amelia, right, and the pushback that she winds up sort of giving everybody. The idea of her even going to McScary Manor in the first place, while yes, she certainly does want to prove that ghosts are certainly real, there is still that built-in animosity between her along with Ollie, right? Like that friendly sort of competitive spirit, if you will, to try and prove each other wrong. We clearly know that Ollie's more of the logical thinker, very much based in science, where when it comes to Amelia, she's very much more the superstitious, very paranormal sort of thing. So I love the fact that even Javi kind of puts it to her in here, like, are you doing this to prove it's real or to prove Ollie wrong? And you can clearly see not only does she admit that yes, that's the bingo, that's one of the reasons why she's doing it, but she even tells Ollie in this episode when she winds up getting hit with that mood blast, that if it wasn't for him, she wouldn't have gone to McScary Manor in the first place. So you clearly see that competitive spirit from Amelia certainly there, wanting to go ahead and prove Ollie wrong, but definitely push pushed her into a situation where we get to see definitely a different side of Amelia. And it's not only Ollie that she certainly dishes it out on, it's also Pop Pop, as she winds up kind of giving him a little bit of a pushback, kind of tired of him being maybe a little bit sort of overprotective. But, you know, for me, one of my favorite scenes out of this entire episode, and honestly probably the season so far, it's definitely up there in like my top 3, was getting an opportunity to see Amelia dressed as the Pink Ranger confronting her Pop Pop, you know, confronting her grandfather, because I do think it's an incredible insight not only into what her grandfather has done for her in her life, but also a revelation of things that she certainly didn't know for herself, understanding where his worry comes from and the promise that he wind up making to her parents to kind of look out for her and things like that. So I do think that that scene went a really long way, not only to give us further insight into a possible revelation about Amelia, but also just to continue to build that relationship between granddaughter and grandfather, and it works for me in here. Like the idea of seeing Amelia hug Pop Pop at the end of the episode just kind of gave me goosebumps a little bit, because listen, I'm a sucker for happy endings, and I just think two people being able to understand each other a little bit more before they were, you know, at the beginning of this episode, I think certainly does go a long way. But I thought that was absolutely great to kind of see her and Pop Pop having that scene together. I will say another thing in regards to Amelia in here. This has certainly been a season of firsts, right? And it continues in this episode as she acquires a brand new armor upgrade that I believe is the blazing Dino key. Now in Real Soldier, this power up was actually called the Mirror Soul, if I'm not mistaken, but it does offer an armor sort of upgrade. For me, I don't really consider this as a battleizer. I look at it just as an armored power up, if you will. And the only reason why I say that is because of the fact in Real Soldier, it's not necessarily just one person that can utilize that unique power up. You have, at least in Real Soldier, had the opportunity to see other characters be able to wear that same exact mirror power up, if you will, also. So while Amelia certainly is the first to utilize it in here, which I feel like when it comes to power ups, it's usually either the whole team getting a power up or the red getting a power up by itself. So the fact that it's Amelia that's kind of taking charge of this episode, she gets the first armored power up in the blazing Dino key, it looked incredible. And the fact alone also that they made this scene very much original footage, that they didn't pull anything from Real Soldier for this particular armor power up. It looked incredible as original footage. The added special effects and visual effects to it, seeing Amelia beat that ass with that blazing sword was really incredible to see. So a fantastic first, and not only her getting the opportunity to wear the armor, but also in charge of the Megazord here this week. We got to see her call upon the T-Rex champion Zord. We get the debut of a brand new Zord that popped up out of nowhere. I believe they call it the Dimitro or Dimitro blazing Zord also. So we wind up getting ourselves a really great configuration this week of the T-Rex blazing Megazord with the flaming sword, I don't even think it was like a flaming shield. It was almost like flaming knuckles or something like that. Like just a brutal beatdown that Amelia wind up giving this monster this week of what was her name? Tomb something. What did I have? Tombstress is what her name was, which I thought was pretty funny. But again, really impressive stuff to go ahead and see Amelia controlling the Zord, controlling the situation, handling things because of the fact that the other Rangers were sort of out of commission. I thought this was a great showcase for Amelia and Hunter Deno in here to really show that they're more than capable of handling the things themselves and carrying an episode, to certainly say the least. So incredible impact on this episode, and I really hope that Amelia continues to shine as the season progresses. So Hunter Deno, keep doing a fantastic job. You're absolutely killing it here this season so far. But for me, it was really great to see Pop Pop back. I enjoyed his presence in the previous appearance in Superstition Strikes. This one I enjoyed even more, honestly. Like when I first saw Pop Pop, while I definitely enjoyed his personality, there were times when it felt like maybe it was overacted or overperformed, right? Just this over animation about him, if you will. But it didn't seem so much in this episode. It seemed like he was a little bit more subdued. I'm assuming maybe just based off of the storyline that we get of things having to be scary, right? So to see him in that different mindset, I thought was interesting. But I continue to love his personality. I mean, hella infectious. I mean, anytime that this guy is on screen, I'm always wanting to know what he's going to talk about, what he's certainly going to say, because I feel like Pop Pop just has a bunch of secrets inside of him that he's not letting anybody in on, right? Like the idea that he's so open, especially back at the Superstition Strikes episode, to hear him talk so openly about Amelia, kind of embarrassing her a little bit, right? The fact that he's definitely a talker in regards to that. So I thought it was pretty cool that he wind up actually giving us some insight in the sense that he's actually worked at Area 62 before. I think he was comparing, what was scarier, the McScary Manor or Area 62, and clearly he's seen some weird things in his life. So I thought that was a great little revelation there, since we personally, I've really enjoyed just Area 62 and the set design piece for it in general. But it definitely is a place that certainly has its fair share of secrets. And then we come to find out from him also in here about Amelia's parents. Now, I was trying to remember if in Superstition Strikes, if Pop Pop referenced her parents in any way about what certainly happened to them. I think we were under the impression that yes, Pop Pop definitely helped raise her, but I think this episode really clarifies just how much of an impact he had on Amelia's life and just how much he had to be there for her, as we come to find out Amelia's parents were lost in very sort of mysterious ways, if you will. Not really diving any further into that, but the connections with Area 62, Amelia's parents mysteriously, vanishing or being lost or whatever the case may be. I've already seen people's theories that have been popping up on Twitter. I feel like for the most part, a lot of people are kind of leaning towards the idea that maybe Void Knight and Centaura that we saw that's in the capsule that Void Knight has in the back. Some people are suggesting maybe that's Amelia's parents also, right? So Area 62, a ton of mystery, Pop Pop opening up that can of worms, if you will, and Amelia's missing parents. I can see why that theory is so popular. I truly can. Like even Stuart, who does our Kamen Rider Saber reviews with us, for us on here on this channel, even threw that theory out to me as well. And I really like the theory, guys. I really like the theory, but I gotta be honest, I feel like that's while I like the theory, I am wondering if there's a twist coming. I am wondering if there's a swerve coming, just simply based off of the fact that it feels like that's almost too in your face, almost too obvious of a theory for it to be right. For me, and again, this is just my personal preference, I personally would like maybe the writers and, to be a little bit more creative, if you will. Not that that's not creative, but I would like to see maybe a twist on it so that there's more to that theory than we certainly think as the viewer. You know what I mean? So while I personally don't have a theory right now outside of the one that everybody certainly is talking about, I definitely will go ahead and think about it even further. Maybe talk about it a little bit more with you guys this upcoming weekend. But I am kind of curious what you guys think with Pop Pop revealing that stuff in here. Do you think that Void Knight and Centaura are somehow Amelia's parents? I would definitely love to know your guys' thoughts in regards to that. Shout out real quick does go out to Javi this week. Chance Perez, I thought, did a great job. The idea of everybody getting hit with the mood blast, I thought was a really fun element in this episode. I was a big fan of the Tombstress in this episode also. So the fact that he's all of a sudden his emotional overreaction, I think it's when it comes to Izzy, I think she's like super scared. I think Zato was super lazy. Kai was super happy, and I'm assuming Javi, if anything, was just super emotional. Remembering his old goldfish Goldie, loving the idea of how good they are at posing, which I thought was pretty funny after the morph. The idea of just wishing everybody could sort of just hug it out, and I loved again the running gag in here of just the idea of marshmallows when it comes to Javi. Like his love for hot chocolate we share that same love, my guy. Like you talk about the idea that it just wraps this nice warm blanket around you. I love hot chocolate during the winter time. I truly do. So yeah, marshmallows are right up my alley. Just fill up that cup to where I can't even see the surface of the hot chocolate anymore. So me and Chance, or me and Javi, we're like this. I'm telling you, we're like this. But I thought Chance Perez had a great performance in here as Javi, really pushing the boundaries. Again, for somebody that doesn't really hasn't had too much acting, I think this is a pretty ballsy, emotional overreaction for him this week, honestly. Let's see here. I did have a question. I wasn't quite sure, just because of the fact that there was no Slither nowhere to be found in this episode. Part of me was wondering as to whether or not this episode was meant to air before episode 10. Like, I'm wondering if they wind up making a decision in post-production, like, let's put this episode here sort of thing, after Slither winds up appearing, because he wasn't in this episode at all, if I'm not mistaken. If there was any complaint that I had about this episode, guys, it's probably the idea that I wish that this episode maybe captured more of the horror or scary element that, with maybe some like shot selections that you might see more of in a horror movie, but maybe just kind of tweaked for kids, if you will, right? Like, I felt like there was a little bit of an element of that when you get to see Amelia going back into McScary Manor, right? Like, she looks around the cupboard or the bookshelf, she sees the monster, clearly disappointed that it's a monster and not a ghost. I love Hunter's expression in regards to that scene. But when she turns around and she makes her communication call and she turns, in a scary movie, once you turn, it's like the person is right there, you know what I mean? You get that sort of jump scare. Whereas this one, the monster was a little bit further in the distance, and like the camera had to like auto zoom in on it real quick to kind of give that surprise kind of look. So there are elements, while yes, I know that this show is for kids, I wish the director maybe had a better choice of scene selections to kind of feel like you were filming more as a part of a horror genre or a scary movie genre than just another kid episode, you know what I mean? So I would have loved to have seen that element added in this episode, if at all possible. But again, even the idea of seeing Pop Pop returning to the manor, finding the Dino key and things like that, the lighting I thought in that scene was really great and really well handled. But if anything, I will say this: I continue to wonder if we'll get any explanations as to why the Dino Fury keys are where they're at, right? Like, we saw the idea of when it came to the green and black Dino keys, them trapped in sort of this orb. I'm curious as to how they got there. Why is this blazing armor just in the bottom of somebody's, haunted house, if you will? So I'm kind of curious to know where, like, how these Dino keys certainly got there. So I am kind of curious if there'll be an explanation or not, honestly, but we'll definitely have to see in regards to that. If anything, I am also kind of curious. I feel like this is the second time that we've seen our Rangers trying to talk to somebody and disguising their voice. I am kind of curious if in future seasons of Power Rangers, if they'll ever, introduce the idea of like voice synthesizers or something that kind of change up the Ranger's voice as they're talking, so we don't have to have these actors deepen their voice so this person doesn't know that it's really me, right? Like, I really would have loved to have seen maybe the helmet itself sort of digitize their voice automatically, but I am kind of curious if that's something that they would look into in the future seasons, honestly. Again, guys, I want to know your thoughts. Again, I thought Hunter Deno killed it as Amelia. Great focus episode, great into opportunity to see her range in regards to her being angry and the pushback towards Pop Pop. Great emotional and sentimental moments in here between granddaughter and grandfather, getting to see more revelations and secrets. And again, this definitely does make me think that Amelia will play an even bigger significant role in this season that I don't even know if we expected when the season certainly started. So I'm here for it, guys. But listen, at the end of the day, these are just my A+ opinions. I definitely want to go ahead and know yours, so let your thoughts be known in the live chat or the comment section box below, ladies and gentlemen. Of course, we certainly will be back later on this weekend, again Saturday live at noon Central Time, so certainly join us then. Guys, if you love our content, do us a big favor, hit that like button, feel free to share these videos, and of course subscribe to our channel whenever you get the opportunity to certainly do so. And if anything, if you want to follow us on social media, right here at A+ Opinions, guys, very active over on Twitter along with our main Facebook page, so definitely go ahead and check us out there. But until next time, I'll take